Hi guys, warm welcome to vlog 4, Axing Anxiety in 10-ish with Dr. M, and working in association with my wonderful colleagues over in Ireland, Galway at Book Hub Publishing. As you know, I'm on Harley Street. I also work on location, psych on Skype, and occasionally in Nottingham as well. So I'm quite easy to get hold of. Now, out of our B.A.T.H.I.T 7 steps, I'm going to be taking S today, and the one aspect I'm going to be taking and talking about is story, and that's our internal story, what we actually tell ourselves. And this is a whole reason why any of us can feel anxiety as well in the moment or over a long period of time as well. It's what we condition ourselves to, what we plug into our neurology, because every belief, every thought that we have affects our emotions, and those emotions really affect how we behave, how we feel, and therefore how our body responds as well. So the more you maybe think negative about something and don't have such great thoughts about yourself or about the things and the world around you, the more your body will respond in negative ways and give you all those harrowing feelings of anxiety. So although, like I said, and I keep saying, and I'll keep repeating it till it goes through, anxiety itself is a really good thing, because it's that tapping on the mind to say, hey, look, something's really wrong, it needs addressing. But the actual symptoms that it causes are harrowing and really bad. So let's look at the story and what we exactly mean by that in order to be able to change things. So first of all, it's important to ask yourself, what's your internal dialogue? What's going on inside your mind? What kind of thoughts do you have internally that you're thinking, that you're constantly feeding in and saying to yourselves? So for example, I have quite a few clients that say to me they feel paranoid sometimes when they go out, or they'll walk into a very some of the superstores, large supermarkets, and they'll feel all of a sudden that all eyes are on them and everybody's watching them, and they may be thinking, ooh, what's she or he wearing, or oh, what do they look like, they don't look quite right, and all these kind of negative thoughts. Or maybe you go out for a walk and you just don't feel confident, and again you feel people are looking at you, or you're scared that you might do something like trip up, or whatever negative thoughts are going on, or that you just don't feel good enough a lot of the time. Maybe you're at work and you have something what we call imposter syndrome, where you feel that even though you have all the perfect qualifications and you actually are very good at your job, and there's physical evidence that you've had in appraisals that might be tell you that how good you are at your job, but still nevertheless your internal dialogue is, I'm not quite good enough, I don't quite feel right, I don't really feel I deserve to be in this role, etc. Or it could be something like, you don't deserve to be wealthy. You maybe have all these thoughts in your head like, oh, I can't achieve that, that's not for me, my family's not a rich family, they're not wealthy, so I just can't really ever see myself being like that. So you can start seeing all these thoughts that feed in, and the thing is that we become what we believe, and there's no truer, more meaningful phrase than that to keep in mind, because it is so true. Just as we become a product of our environment and the people that we hang about with, that's just how life works in terms of particles and energy. Whether you understand it or not, or believe it or not, it's black and white. That's just what happens. That's why life actually works, and there's plenty of evidence to suggest that too. But it's important to actually keep that in mind, that we become what we deep down believe. We become the product of our environment, and we become the people that we hang about with. So we need to make them positive on all three fronts. Now, going back to story and the internal dialogue, what you tell yourself, there's two ways to look at anything. There's the event, there's the situation, whatever may be going on, or whatever you maybe need to process or to understand. It's the one single event. However, there's two ways to look at that. There's the negative side and there's the positive side. Now, in the book, there's actually a picture of what's a corner house. And what's really interesting is the picture's the same. It's always the same picture. However, if you draw your eyes to the top of the picture, you will see the corner bulging outwards, whereas if you draw your eyes to the bottom of the picture, you'll see it drawing inwards. And you'll know what I mean if you look at the picture in the book. But the point is, there's one picture, but depending on where you put your eyes, upper or lower, it will be different. So you'll actually see the picture very differently. And what I liken that to is whether you look at one single event, the same event, but whether you see the positive or whether you see the negative. So say if the upper version of what you look at was the positive and the lower version of what you look at was the negative, you'll see how you can see two different perspectives in any one image. And that's what we're talking about in terms of your story, what you tell yourself, your internal dialogue. So do you choose to make this positive or negative? So if we take an example, and this is an example I give in the book, anybody that's read any of my books will know that I had, when I was younger, an insane fear of heights. I hated going up high. So I once had a university lecture, well, I had a few actually, university lectures up in tower high buildings, which I couldn't make because I froze on the stairs. It was that bad. I couldn't go up the Eiffel Tower with friends when I went to Paris, which was a great shame, although I did go and find a bar that did some nice Stella, so that wasn't too bad. That's reframing the positive situation there. But there are lots of examples. I ruined a birthday surprise because somebody booked me tickets up in the gods, so I was petrified throughout the whole concert. It was Brian Adams, who I love, so I would have normally really enjoyed that, but I didn't. I had to sit behind a guy who was thankfully very tall, so it blocked a lot of the view out, but it was absolutely awful. So I've missed out on enjoying a lot of things because of the insane fear of heights. So that's something that bothered me and restricted and limited my life in lots of ways. I did some techniques and some procedures to actually release that, so that was a massive big help. And then I was presented by a friend of mine a great birthday present to fulfill a lifetime dream of mine, because I've grown up with diabetes, and from being younger you're told that you can't do certain things, and the law actually restricts you from doing certain things, believe it or not. And one of those things was always flying, so of course I wanted to go and fly. So my friend brilliantly booked me a flying lesson for my birthday only last year. So given my intense fear of heights, I had two choices with this, and it was a surprise. So we was in an airfield. I just thought we were going to look at planes, have a cup of tea, but he actually sprung it on me. I was actually going flying. So very quickly I had about an hour, half an hour to actually prepare myself. What am I going to do? So here's the event, here's what is presented to me, the opportunity, fantastic opportunity to go flying. So I could get very nervous, fearful, and think, oh my God, I can't go up in that level of height, just in case I get really claustrophobic. I want to get out and I want to get down. There's nowhere to go because the light aircrafts are very small and very contained. So there's literally a piece of metal as the door. So you can't go on like a jumbo jet where you could probably go and hide and calm yourself down so you don't have to look. There's nowhere to go in a light aircraft. You have to look and you have to see the skyline. And if you look down, it's very clear what you can see. So like I said, with this option, I could have gone panicked, completely sent myself into an anxiety attack if I'd have started thinking, oh my God, what if the instructor gets ill? What if we have to crash land? If he gets ill and I have to take over and I can't cope with the height? And I go dizzy and etc. So that's one option I could have thought about, and then that would have spiraled. It could have caused an anxiety attack, and I would have ruined the whole surprise and whole day going forward with that. And obviously I wouldn't have felt very well after with everything. Alternatively, and this is the option I took, is to actually think, wow, what an amazing opportunity. I've already worked on dealing with how I respond to heights, so this is a great opportunity for me to test it, and I'm going to turn those nerves into excitement. So all that adrenaline of potential apprehension, I'm actually going to turn into a positive, and make it really exciting. I'm going to be thankful for this opportunity to go. I'm going to actually enjoy the views, and I'm going to look, and I know that I can trust in the process of life. I can trust in my positive law of attraction that actually I am safe, and this is okay to go up and fly, and this is a lifetime dream of mine to be able to do this. And you know what, it's two fingers up to the government as well, because people with diabetes can now fly, because believe it or not, we're actually safe and able to do that. So again, that comes down to the way you think, and what you attract into your life and to be able to do. So it's about having no limitations and letting nothing or no one stop you with the things that you really want to do. So as a child, although that was against the law to fly, I knew that one day I would do that anyway, because that's what I want to do and I'm perfectly capable of doing it. So anyway, going back to the one event, the story, so how you can look at two sides of it, get really anxious, get into a nervous, panicky feeling about things, or you go, to hell with it, brilliant, great opportunity, really going to welcome this, really grateful for my friend giving this amazing surprise and opportunity, and I'm going to enjoy the skies, and then just embrace the whole experience and trust in the process of life that, you know what, I am okay and I kept repeating the mantra to myself, I'm really enjoying this. This is just amazing what I'm about to do and experience. So you can see how there's always two sides to one event, and the consequences are that because I took that positive line of thinking and I chose the positive aspect to see, I had an amazing experience, and it was just fantastic when I came down. I'd done something, achieved something that was, you know, now possible, and it was just so fulfilling to be able to do that. And then I went on and had an amazing rest of the day and rest of the weekend. So that changed the outcome completely to what could have been if I'd have been fearful, scared, and had that negative thought process to see that. So whatever your internal story is, whatever your internal dialogue is, you will make the difference in terms of the outcome that you will experience. So it's really important to overcome and combat any form of anxiety. And trust me, if I can overcome something with heights, you can definitely do this. That what you tell yourself and what you're feeding into your brain will change how you feel, and it will therefore change the outcome and the results you get in terms of positive or negative, because at the end of the day, like attracts like. So if you're feeling anxious and nervous all the time, you're going to attract all those fearful, negative feelings into your life, and that's going to be a downward cycle, and you're not going to attract the most fruitful things into your life. However, if you choose the other option, you choose to see the alternative, the positive things, the different alternative story that you can tell yourself, the actual alternative positive option, then you'll start attracting more positive things into your life, and you'll start to pursue a positive multiplier effect of things that start coming into your life. So in a nutshell, internal dialogue. Think about what you tell yourself as your internal story. And if it's negative, and if it's when you go out, I'm not good enough, or I think people are looking at me, turn it around and actually think, what's the alternative? Get the reality perspective. Actually, people are too busy with their own lives, especially in supermarkets, to actually be looking at you or what you're doing. And tell yourself, start a new mantra to yourself, and even put it around the house, telling yourself that actually you are good enough, and there's no reason why you wouldn't be. So start looking at the alternative positive ways, and naturally the book will help you through this as well, with lots of ideas and lots of practical tools and techniques to help you. So have a great day, go on and make sure you try turning it around, everything that you're doing into a positive.